Well, Nicole, thank you so much for being on the Entrepreneurial Success Podcast. I am so glad to have you here, in particular because you're the first girl who's going to talk to us all about virtual summits. And before we get started and talk about virtual summits, why don't you just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got started in business.
Hey, everybody. My name is Nicole Ware. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I actually produce virtual summits for female entrepreneurs who are looking to grow their email lists and increase their influence and essentially grow revenue for their business. Again, all through virtual summits. It's kind of funny how I got into this. I actually am a nurse full-time and kind of got into the online business world by accident. A friend kind of nudged me into it. And I ended up I don't want to say fledgling, but trying to decide, where do I fit? How do I fit in? Eventually I got to, it's weird, a tax season time, and I ended up with a huge refund. And she said, "Congratulations for starting your business, but you made no money, so here's a bunch of money back from the government." And I was like, "Wait a minute, that's not what I want. I want my business to succeed, right? I don't want you to give me a refund for that." But it was funny because I had to find my niche. I had to figure out exactly what I was going to do online. And the more I started thinking about it, the more I started to do more planning and, pitching to people and getting them a part of what I was doing. And I realized, oh my goodness, I've been doing this for so long. Like I'm a teacher, so I also create events. And when I realized that I was doing this all along, like I could do this online too. I can create events. I can help people, build an amazing event. I know how to get people excited. It's easy for me to pitch people. I'm like, here you go. Would you do this? It's not a problem for me. So I ended up to virtual summits.
Amazing.
It was kind of like just a spiraling thing that happened, and all of a sudden I was at virtual summits. So here I am, and I'm working on some amazing summits right now with some amazing people.
No, it's fantastic. And what was I always ask this question because for any female entrepreneur, there's always a kind of motivation or inspiration or even a passion behind what it is that you're doing. So from where you started to where you're now doing virtual summit, what do you find is that passion that keeps you going forward and keeps the momentum going for you?
I love to see female entrepreneurs hit their stride. I love to maybe just kind of spark a little something in them and say, hey, why are you saying that you can't do that? You can do that. Essentially, I'm like everyone's cheerleader, people call me, or I'll give them that little tidbit of advice that they've been waiting for, like that pushes them to the next step. I love seeing other people succeed personally. I like to succeed myself, but I really win at seeing other people succeed. So, I mean, that's my passion in going forward with this, is making sure that my clients have an amazing summit and that I teach other people how to have an amazing summit to go forward.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think the one thing that also stands out, which you mentioned, you said that you're a full-time nurse. And we all know that nurses work their buns off. I mean, hats off to you. But then running this on the sideline as well. I mean, from a time management prospect, how do you do it? How do you manage and balance between it?
Well, I'm off for 4 days out of 7. So we work 3 days on, or, in the midst of it, days on, days off.
Yes.
But any day I'm off, I'm working on a summit. I am, keeping it, of course, the online tools, Asana and Airtable and those sort of things keep me in line. And my calendar is my friend, making sure I keep on task. But, it's really just keeping organized, keeping lists, keeping things going on that end.
Yeah, no, that honestly, like I said, hats off to you for doing that. From my personal experience, working full time and trying to start my business on the sideline, I thought I was going to go mental at one point. So, honestly, well done to you. Now, talk to us a little bit about virtual summits, because this is where I'm getting very excited. I think firstly, explain to the audience, for those that don't know, what a virtual summit is and more or less what the benefits are to a virtual summit for them if they're thinking of doing a virtual summit.
So let's think of it in terms of like a conference. Okay, when we say virtual summit, say conference, in your mind, think of it like that. If you go to an in-person conference, you go there, you get your plane ticket, you get your ticket to the conference, you sit down, you listen to speakers all day, you maybe have a little networking, and then maybe a party, and then you go home, right? But this is all done virtually. So you are going to a conference online in your pajamas every day for, a period of time. You may not have necessarily somebody sitting next to you, oh, can I have some gum, or, that interaction there, but you're able to listen to the speakers and gain just as much knowledge as you would in an in-person conference, only it's online. The benefits of hosting one, I mean, there are so many, but the big ones is the email list. So if you're somebody who's like, I really need an email list to grow my business online, that email list that's like, I don't know, the gold, the juice, the ticket to growing your business. Essentially, they'll give you their email address in exchange for the trainings and for the knowledge that you're going to give them from multiple speakers that you have attend your virtual summit.
That's amazing. And I think the other question I have is so many people kind of get confused with the idea, from what I've heard, where they say, well, what is the difference between something like a webinar versus a virtual summit? Well, for one thing, we know obviously there's more people on a virtual summit than there is on a webinar. But what would be your take? What would you say the benefit is more with a virtual summit rather than just doing a webinar all by yourself?
Well, it's multiple touch points. So with a webinar, I'm talking about one specific topic. I'm talking about, and normally it's a topic about the why and the what. It really has no how in it when we talk about webinars. And there's always going to be a pitch at the end. We know there's going to be a pitch at the end. But when we talk about something like a summit, there's not always a pitch at the end. It's more of the how, the juice of it. You're going through essentially a process, a step-by-step process with whoever the speaker is. So you're not going through you may go through the what and the why, but you're going to get into that how. And that's the part that people really want whenever they're watching some sort of training.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you've absolutely nailed it right there. Thank you so much for spelling that out, because I know some of my listeners have been asking me that question, and I was like, I'm not the best person to ask at this moment, but no, thank you so much for clarifying that. So talk to us a little bit. You've got, and I love this, you've got 5 myths that you want to talk about creating a virtual summit. So I'm going to hand it over to you. Why don't you just talk to us about these 5 myths? And then I've got a couple of more questions at the end, if that's okay.
Okay.
So please go through it. Let us know. What are the 5 myths?
So this is the thing I hear most often. I love to do a summit, but the but is always there, literally and figuratively. It's always there. It's always stopping people because they have these 5 myths. And these are things that keep coming up over and over again. So number 1 being you need to be an influencer. Like, no. You don't. And actually, it's kind of good that you're not an influencer, actually, because, yes, it's great to be an influencer. You have an audience, you can get people maybe to buy, but haven't they already heard you? What's the new people who haven't heard of you if you're an influencer? If you're not an influencer, they haven't heard of you. Like, who is this? What is this? They're interested in your product. They're interested to see what you have to say. So it doesn't always behoove you. And let me say this, it doesn't always behoove you to have influencers on your summit, which people are like, wait, what? Let me just say this, influencers don't necessarily like to promote. They want money to promote. They want kind of a in-front investment. So getting those people who are considered quote unquote, mid-level influencers, or even people who are around your same level, it's probably better to get them than to necessarily get an influencer or to be an influencer, just so you know.
Yeah.
Okay. And then also if you are an influencer, they've heard you. They've heard the same people that your circle, they've heard that. So you don't need to be an influencer. Okay. Let me just make that very, very clear. The second thing, it's crazy. I mean, people are like, well, I'm a nobody. That's the first thing people say. And I'm like, you are somebody, you know something. I know you do. So anyway, next thing. So you need to already have a course or some sort of product ready to go. You don't. And in fact, I think you should not have a course ready to go. Maybe an outline, but it's better to have more of a beta ready to go. And what I mean by that is during the summit, the audience will start telling you what their The audience will start telling you what their frustrations are. They'll start telling you their challenges. They'll start asking you questions that will essentially fill out your course. Okay. You don't need to have it all ready to go, because honestly, they're going to come to you and they'll be like, wait. You want that? You want that? You want that? Oh, I didn't have it in my course. Let me add it. So I think have a beta ready to go, an outline of your course. Don't have it all like beautiful and, and perfected before you start your summit. That's the next thing. Next thing is you don't need a large following. Okay.
This is a big one.
It's huge. It's huge because many people think, well, I have to have a following in order for people to, essentially be on my summit or to be speakers on my summit, or for people to, purchase my summit, whatever the case might be, the all access pass purchase. You don't need followers. You need collaborators who have followers, but you don't need the followers. The whole point of the collaboration is to get in front of another audience. So by bringing in someone who's, maybe a little bit more of a higher in rank, I don't know, whatever the word may be, essentially they make great partners because they're going to put you in front of their audience. You say, hey, I want you to be my affiliate. I'd love to, get on your podcast. I'd love to get on your Facebook Live swap. I'd love to do a sponsored put, whatever the case may be. Now you're in front of their audience. Now you're growing your audience based on that collaboration. It's best, again, to not have that many followers because you want people to find you. You want to be the fresh thing that people are finding. And they're like, oh my goodness, start asking their friends. Have you seen this? Have you seen this person? They're awesome. Now you gain followers because of that collaboration. Fourth thing, being tech savvy. This holds up a lot of people from doing summits. A lot. They're just like, I'm technologically just like, in first grade. It's okay. The things you need are the things that you're probably using right now. Things like Canva, Facebook. I mean, who's not on that, right? Instagram, if you're on Instagram, it's not necessary, but Instagram's a great tool. Calendly, it's free. That's really all you need. Zoom, if you want to do interviews face-to-face, Zoom, it's free, guys. It's super easy to use. Click, record, I'm done, right? Have the interview, you're done. And then a website. That's probably a really big thing that I want to touch there too as well. Your website should be branded. It should look professional. It should look, like something you would want to visit. Okay. I'm not saying it has to be the biggest and the best, but you want to make sure that you spend a little bit of time making sure your website is polished before you start your summit. That's just a little thing there, but you do not need to be tech savvy. Just so you know, you do not need to be. Simple, easy, free tools. And that's all you need to do a summit. Lastly, it's going to take forever. I don't have the time. I'm not going to get that investment back. I just don't have the time. You do. Do you have 1 hour a week to interview somebody for the next, 3 months? Yeah, you probably do. I mean, what are you doing? Instead of going on Facebook and surfing, why do I interview somebody? You have plenty of time. You could do it in as little as 90 days, honestly, if you really create your plan, create your calendar to fit that. You have about 90 days that you can do it. What's going to take the longest, I'll say, will be speakers. So when people say it's going to take forever, it's more of the speakers. Like, oh my goodness, I've got to get my trainings. The speakers are going to take too long. I don't know. It can't be done. And they just shut down based on the timing. But it can be done little as 90 days. Especially something like an easy 1-day summit. It can be done relatively quickly. Yeah. So that's the last one. So the 5, let me just make sure I say it. Okay. You do not need to be an influencer. Okay. You do not need to have your course ready to go. You do not need to have a large following. You do not need to be tech savvy. Okay. You can be, a third grader can do most of these things. I'm telling you. And then it will not take forever. You can do it in as little as 90 days.
That's amazing. I'm so glad you said that. I want to ask you a couple of questions just based on each myth, if that's okay. The first one about the fact that you need to be an influencer. I think that's actually really good news if you're listening and you're thinking about doing a virtual summit, or it's something that has crept up and you're thinking, is this something that I can do? Maybe I'm not there yet. Maybe I'm just starting my business. And I think what Nicole is saying is doing a virtual summit, if you're just starting out, is maybe one of the best things you can do for yourself, because it is all about your visibility. You're getting visibility for yourself and for your brand, for your business, whatever industry you're in. So from your point of view and your experience working with some of your clients, do you have some examples that you can share about what it has done for those entrepreneurs with regards to their visibility, not just for them to sell their products or their services, but for visibility itself?
Well, I mean, when you now are associated with these folks that are, you know, quote unquote influencers, essentially that up levels you immediately to that status. Oh my goodness, they know X, Y, and Z. They must have that information. They must have that know-how and that personality. So it instantly elevates you to that level, just so you know. Visibility wise, again, that collaboration, you're on their podcast, you're doing, you know, their Facebook Live swap. They are essentially, you know, they are essentially promoting you as well, because they're like, hey, I'm on this great summit. This is the host. Suddenly you're in front of all these people.
Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, it's more about the fact that you get that visibility and you're being associated with other influencers, you're being seen as the same level as they are. And that kind of visibility is absolutely key for you, for your business, especially if you're starting out. You don't have to, you know, reach all high or think that it's not possible for you, but you can definitely start somewhere. And I think if people start realizing that virtual summits are definitely one of those kind of strategies they can implement in their business, it's definitely worthwhile. Now, the second thing is that you said is obviously that you need to have a course ready. Oh, and when you said you don't, I think some people, they just had this little light bulb moment going off hearing.
Really? Yeah, I know.
Which is great, because that's one of the main things that for me being a coach and telling my students is that you don't have to create a course or spend months creating a course and then try and take that course and try and find the people who want to buy it. Right. Try and get your audience first. Talk to them, hear what it is that they need and they want, and then build your course based on that.
Absolutely.
Have you ever done any virtual summits for entrepreneurs where they didn't actually have a course yet? And they maybe just started out and then had the response back from the audience, from the people who signed up, and only then build a course? Did you have any experiences like that yourself?
Well, I'm kind of getting to my clients too late. They're like, oh, I ever have a course, here it is, blah, blah, blah. And they're ready to go with it, you know. So I'm getting to them a little bit too late. And I'm trying to put this word out there to future clients. Please do not waste hours and months coming up with a course, because a lot of people will be like, I can't do a summit yet because I got to create my course. And they stop. They're stalled on the creation of the course. No, guys, please don't let that stop you. Essentially have an outline, a nice outline, you know, make it pretty. But half the time the outline's going to get thrown in the trash anyway, because your folks, the people who want to hear from you, are exactly what they want. And your outline probably won't be what they want. I mean, I hate to say that, but build the audience. The audience who come to you, they're going to tell you exactly what they want. And not only that, I don't mean here's your summit audience. They tell you what you want. Now you spend the next 6 months trying to create your course. Please don't do that. Beta launch your course. Hey, I've got a great course about this. You know, these are the things we're going to teach you. And I'm going to get questions directly from you so I can give you exactly what you want. Here's my beta pricing. Here it is. Boom, 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 boom. And you have nothing done. I mean, you may not have anything. You just have an outline. That's fine. Drip it out live. What's the problem with that? I mean, you know, a lot of people want the information, don't think you have to have it all together, because they don't even know what they want at this point. They'll know in the summit when they start getting this great training from you.
Yeah. No, absolutely. The other thing that you mentioned is obviously you don't need to have a big following as well. And I think this is one of those things where people go, well, how do I, you know, get people to know about the summit? Well, this is the best part because, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because once you start collaborating with other entrepreneurs or other people who wants to join you on the summit, you're not going to be the only one who's going to do Facebook ads or who's going to try and tell people about the summit that's going on. They are going to do the same as well. Those people who are collaborating with you on the summit, they will do exactly the same because they want to make sure that they can bring as many people to the summit for themselves to be seen there as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the key things for people to understand, that even if you don't have a following, even if you have zero, you don't have an email list, you've just maybe set up your email list, but it's still at zero. This is something you can definitely do to grow your email list. Maybe not just organically, but if you want to do Facebook ads and all kinds of other advertising, that's fine. But you can possibly, quadruple your email list if you do a virtual summit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because again, you're leveraging those connections. You're collaborating with people who do have an email list, who do have a following, who want to have more of a following. So you're getting multiple speakers. You're getting people who, you look up to. That's how I did mine. My first mastermind that I put together, I had people in my inbox. I said, hey, I love you. I've been following you for a while. Would you speak? Sure. Okay, great.
Yeah.
The end. I was a fan of theirs, and now they know my name. It's crazy. And I consider at the time, I'm a nobody. Who cares? Just go out there and put your neck out there because people are willing to say yes.
Yes, absolutely. It might not be the first one, it might not be the second person, but somewhere along the line, people will say yes. Absolutely. And once they do, you're just going to get an abundance of people who's saying, oh my gosh, count me in.
Absolutely. No, it's true. It's true. They will.
Oh gosh. I've never done a virtual summit. And as you know, I want to do one next year. But just to use that kind of example, when I started interviewing female entrepreneurs to come to the Entrepreneurial Success podcast, in the beginning, I was really hesitant in asking people to come. But then as soon as people started hearing that I am looking in order to get other entrepreneurs to come and tell their success stories, it's a floodgate that open. I'm getting so many requests at the moment, which is great. I don't mind. Awesome. And I was actually thinking at one point, maybe I should have 2 podcasts going out a week just to make sure that I can fit everyone in.
That's awesome.
The other thing that you said, obviously, is that you need to be tech savvy. And this is a big thing. This is a big thing that is holding people back because they think, I need to buy this technology. I need to have a great mic. I need to have a camera. I need to have all these things. And that's not the case. So many tools are free these days. From your point of view, because you do virtual summits, do you pay for any of the platforms, or when you started, did you use all the free tools? What did you basically do yourself?
Well, a lot of the free tools, I just used and ended up, upgrading because of the features that they had. But it can be used. All the free tools can be used for this. It's nothing that you have to go out and necessarily purchase. I think I said Canva, Facebook, Calendly, Zoom. The only thing I paid for was WordPress.
Oh, yes, of course, for the website.
Right. The website, that's pretty much it, really. Maybe to do a lead page. I had lead pages is something that I invested in. They're actually doing super cheap stuff now. Like they're trying to get more people in for monthly. I think it's like $15 or something like that. But that's probably it. The only thing that was really paid for, WordPress, obviously my domain, and email. Those are probably the only things, like ConvertKit. Those are probably the only things. But everything else, honestly, that you can use is free.
Yeah. But those things that you paid for, those are the things you actually really need in any business.
Right.
And in order to run a virtual summit, those kind of tools you can use for free. There's so many free tools out there. You just got to be focused, just start asking around people who've already done it, see what they've been using. If you're listening to this and you want to know kind of like the tools that Nicole has been using, just get in contact with her and ask her, and I'm sure she'd be more than happy to help you out. But then I think the last thing which you said is that it'll take forever to create a summit. And I can see people going, oh my gosh, this is not something I'm going to do. It is going to be a year's work for me. And in particular, if you're starting out, because you see this mountain in front of you. But I think in so many ways, if you're thinking about doing a virtual summit and you're scared that you've got no clue where to start, you don't know what it is that you need to do, well, I would suggest you reach out to Nicole, because she is the guru when it comes to virtual summits. And I think she does some really, really amazing work. But Nicole, before we talk about the amazing 5-day email course that you've got coming up, is there anything else that you wanted to add into these 5 myths? Anything that you wanted to say in particular as well to the audience?
Well, I'll also talk, let me give you a 6th one. I need a bunch of money.
Oh, love that.
I need a bunch of money, or, I have to use Facebook to advertise. We would love to use Facebook for everything that comes out, but you don't need a bunch of money to essentially advertise and put money behind it. Consider doing sponsorships. Now, this is something new I'm really getting into, and I'm super excited to start bringing sponsors to these summits. And you're like, well, I'm a nobody. Why would they do? That's the first thing everybody says. Well, I'm a nobody. There's no way anybody would sponsor me. But they don't care about you. Sponsors care about the audience you're going to bring. Who are you going to put together? You have an amazing speaker lineup. Who's coming to that party? That's who they want to talk to, the people that are coming to that party. So it's actually a lot easier than people think to get money. It takes persistence, but you can get money outside of your own pocketbook to put towards those advertising dollars, if you so choose to do that. You don't need advertising to make it a really great success. Remember, if you go from 0, now you have 500, it's 500. Yes. You could easily pitch to a list of 500 and make just as much as someone who has a list of 5,000.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so true. That is a great thing. And I think that's a topic we can actually have a separate podcast about altogether.
Well, let me get a few more results, and then I'm just dabbling in it right
keep
now.
me posted. I'd love to hear more about that. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about the 5-day email course you've got coming up, because it's all about virtual summits here. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes. So on fempreneuronline.com/plan, I have a 5-day email course that I'm doing, where essentially we talk about the planning from beginning to end. What's your calendar going to look like? Because I know, it's going to take forever. It's something that really stumbles people. And we're going to go through each of that. So what is your promotional calendar? How do you create your speaker calendar? How do you make sure your speakers stay on time? We talk about the affiliate and the speaker planning from beginning to end. We're really going into the planning, the calendar. Let's get it out. Let's plan it over the next 90 days.
That's amazing. And what we'll do is obviously the link for the 5-day email course, it will be down below in my show notes. So if you want to go and have a look, please, by all means, do that. And then Nicole will also have her website there in the show notes. So if you want to read more about Nicole and what she does, please go and have a look there. Nicole, is there anything else you wanted to add? I mean, I think we can have a longer podcast episode on this, because I've got so many more questions, because I'm planning my own virtual summit next year, as you know. But I think we can do that offline. But if there's anything else you'd love to add, please, by all means, do so right now if you want.
I really encourage you not to have fear, that I'd love to do it, but, the but is always the fear, I can't. And it's just like an internal thing, a mindset thing. Please don't let anything stop you in your business. You can do it. You can do a summit. It's not as hard as people may think it could be. It is something that can really grow your email list, grow your authority, your influence, and whatever niche that you're in. It can be done in any niche too, by the way. I want to make sure that I put that out there. But you just don't have fear. Go through your business fearlessly. You have to push through, and you could do an awesome summit. I'm excited about the prospect for people. It's exciting.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things as well. I've heard of so many people doing virtual summits, but it is not something that is completely so well known or so familiar yet. I think it's still in its beginning phase, and I think it's going to start getting traction very quickly, and then it's just going to blow out of the sky and it's just going to go crazy everywhere.
And I'm going to say this, it's not as well known to female entrepreneurs. I'm just going to say that out loud.
That's interesting.
The men have been playing in this game for a while. I'm just going to say that. They have. And they've kind of, I don't know if it's a, a man's game or whatever, but females have not jumped into it. I think it's that I love to do it, but the fear comes into play. But this is something that, ladies, we know how to connect to each other. We know how to give each other what we need as far as understanding and mindset. So it could be huge. And I'd love to see more female hosts for summits over the next couple of years.
Absolutely. Oh gosh, I'm even excited now just thinking about the plans I've got for the one that I'm.
Awesome.
I know. And if you're listening to this now in 2019, well, keep your eyes open because in 2020 you're going to hear a little bit more about the virtual summit coming your way.
Thank you.
But thank you again for taking the time to be here. I really appreciate it, and we'll definitely be in touch soon again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.